All right, guys. Welcome to Mastering the Play On 2021 NFHS Boys Lacrosse Rules. This is part of the training program with the Georgia Lacrosse Officials Association. I am Greg Hite, and I'll be working with Mr. Corsetti as we go through this. So that is us. Gordon, you want to introduce yourself? Not that
Sure.
you most people on this continent who play lacrosse know who you are, but do introduce yourself, my friend.
Sure thing. My name is Gordon Corsetti, current board member for the Georgia Lacrosse Officials Association. I've been back in Georgia for the last 2 years, but before that I was up in Baltimore working for US Lacrosse as their manager of the men's officials development program. So very cool, just on my side, seeing associations using webinars for their own continued training. So nice to see that development.
Yeah. I'm Greg Hite. I'm also a board member with GLOA, and I've been a US lacrosse trainer for 10 years now. So this is I'm a teacher, so this is something that I kind of live to do, and I want to make sure that everybody's got all the opportunities that they need to be the best official that they can be out there. If anybody is interested in a topic or wants us to answer some questions, feel free to let us know. We're always looking for good ideas of what people are looking for. I know that the play on in particular is one of the more difficult things that we've really talked about as an official. This is something that it usually takes a couple of years to kind of master this technique. So we want to give you some background into what the rule is, why the rule was put in place, and then what the mechanics are, and kind of particular situations that we can use this or not use this particular technique in. So here's the rule. This is the play on technique. It is rule 710. If there's no flag down and a player commits a loose ball or line violation technical foul, goalkeeper interference, or crease violation, and an offended player may be disadvantaged by the immediate suspension of play, the official shall visually and verbally signal play on and withhold the whistle until such time as the situation of advantage gained or lost has been completed. So what the heck does that mean? So if you have a flag down and you have a loose ball push on the defense, you're going to kill the play, right? In federation rules, the second foul is going to kill the play. So you can't have a play on if there's already a flag down, okay? That's why that little part is in there. You're going to call this only on technical fouls. We're not going to have anything with a personal foul here. Line violations, we're going to talk about that. There are some lines we're less worried about than others. Location. Goalkeeper interference, as Gordon and I have often said, it takes 5 or 6 years of lots of reps for you to figure out what the heck is going on around the crease. And we want to make sure we don't screw you up. So we're going to spend a little time just talking about the crease and the play on. And goalkeeper interference. So those are kind of the situations. Again, we're never going to use this for a personal foul. We're only going to use this for technical fouls. And I think the key phrase here is disadvantaged by suspension of play. If stopping the play would disadvantage the offensive team, we don't want to do that. Okay, and we'll get into that in a sec here. Right. Again, we want to withhold the whistle until the advantage is gained or lost. It's important to understand that we're talking about possession and we're talking about advantage. And the second article of this rule, the play on shall have elapsed and the official shall cease to signal when, in the case of a loose ball technical foul situation, the offended team gains possession, right? So carrying, cradling, passing, shooting. And then we're going to have, in the case of crease violation, in which the goalkeeper has possession, play shall continue until the offended team is disadvantaged, right? Crease violations are an exception to all technical foul rules. So we really want to keep that in mind. The crease is kind of a strange place, right? And then finally, team A commits a foul. That ends a play on, right? Just as it would end a flag down slow whistle. okay? So that's the rule. Again, let's talk about possession. If you've done a training with me or Gordon, we make you say possession, carrying, cradling, passing, shooting about 73,000 times. It's really important to understand that possession is key to ending a play on. You want the team that was offended to get the ball back, but you have to make sure they really have that ball, okay? That's really a key factor. That is in addition to maintaining their advantage, okay? Gordon, you want to talk about sort of the rationale behind why we put this rule in? What were we trying to avoid when we put this rule together?
Sure. So before the play on was put into place, the penalty was just called. And the problem with that is the ball was loose, right? And if they had a massive scrum with something and two players had done something incorrect on either team, they would, in the olden days anyway, face off for possession right in that space. So you imagine the field as it is now, you could have a face-off in the alley after a settled possession, and whoever picks it up, you know, kind of like what they do in hockey, you know, drop the puck. And that made games take longer, but more importantly, it took away the flow of the game, right? So this rule was put in place. We stole it completely from soccer, from the advantage play in soccer, when the official just points his arm and we're going to see what happens. So the idea behind this is to really get kind of two things in mind with the play on, especially if you're getting new to the play on and really want to master these fundamentals. Is number one, we are preserving the flow of the game. Number two, we're getting through the game with as few whistles as possible, or with the minimum number of whistles to do what we need to do. The play on saves us a lot of, we're still officiating with the play on, we're still signaling, but we don't have to administer anything with that. We allow the play to take care of itself as often as we possibly can. And it's one of those things, whether it's observers or people in the stands, this is a thing that separates the officials who look like they're inserting themselves into the game over and over and over again versus the one who properly understands how a play on works. So the play on's there for the flow of the game and in many senses to make our lives easier so we don't have to do as much blowing the whistle.
Yeah. And that's really key, right? We also really just don't want to take away a fast break.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that is one of the guiding principles, I think, is if you're about to pick the ball up and you're one-on-one with the goalie, don't blow the whistle to tell somebody that they're going to get the ball. Right. That's what Gordon, I think, really means by flow of the game. And I think as you grow in your officiating career, keeping the game moving is really important. Okay. All right. So, this really comes down to a lot of fast breaks here, okay? Fast breaks is the key thing here. If you get fast breaks and transition goals, you're going to win a lot of games, okay? So here is a sort of highlight reel. The most likely scenario for a play on is going to be a loose ball push, right? So loose ball push, the kid can't pick the ball up. The ball's loose, but he manages to pull it together. He keeps going. He picks the ball up. Everybody's behind him and he's off to the races, right? This is really what we want to pay attention to. The other call that is very likely and common, and I think a great thing to have in your toolkit, is the interference call. So not the play with the kid right here, but right? So the interference call is going to be behind what's going on. And the ball might be loose, but do you really want to stop a pass in flight that's obviously going to be caught by a teammate to tell somebody over here to stop doing something, right? It's not a personal foul, right? This is advantage, disadvantage that we're talking about here. So loose ball pushes and interference are really key things to sort of keep your eye out for when thinking about the play on, right? Level of play is very important, right? We've got college officials on this call. We've got, you know, brand new officials. This is not really anything I teach to youth officials, right? More so because if little Billy over here shoves Frankie in the back and shoves him to the ground, I kind of want to stop play and say, hey, buddy, you can't push him in the back, right? I'm trying to teach those guys the game. I think the Virginia kid probably knows the rules, right? So I don't have to stop play and explain the rules to him, right? We're going to let that play out, and whatever happens is going to happen. But level of play. Now, level of play also means if somebody's going to pick up the ball after being pushed, I am much more likely at a higher level of play to allow him the opportunity to maybe fight through some guys because I know the skill level and the athletic ability are there. Maybe not so much in a game that the skill level isn't very great. And again, those loose ball scrums, remember what we always used to say to you, blow the whistle and get the ball up into somebody's stick, right? We don't want a field hockey game breaking out. So understanding the level of play that you have and calibrating your officiating to what's happening in front of you is really important when it comes to the play on. So let's talk about the play on mechanics, okay?
All right, so here's a situation in which we have a loose ball interference, you could also call a push here, and the trail official is going to signal play on. Green recovers the errant pass. Let's watch it again. So you see the push, you see the contact, but we're gonna let play continue. We're gonna allow play to continue until we know that green is not disadvantaged. Remember, this is not a personal foul. This is simply a technical foul, and we're going to keep the flow of the game. This could develop into a scoring opportunity, but we've indicated to everybody that we saw the foul and that we know green is going to get the ball. Nothing bad is going to happen to green here. And just to note, this is three-man mechanics, and Mr. Corsetti is in the top left here on the 35-yard line out of the play.
Like I said, the loose ball push is the most likely outcome of this, or interference in the case of what Gordon had. Gordon could have called a push there. Gordon could have called interference. It's more than 5 yards away from the ball. So in this scenario, we have B push A from behind. He is shoved over the ball, can't pick it up, right? Pretty quickly we realize, hey, Red's not going to get it. So we have a whistle, we have a push, red ball, right? And you manage the restart. That's your classic loose ball push. You see a zillion of those over your career, okay? A doesn't gain possession, is clearly disadvantaged from behind.
Are you okay?
There's no foul, so that's what we're gonna do. Yeah. So here is a loose ball push where A is actually going to maintain possession, okay? So it's not a click. a clear-cut situation where we're gonna stop play here. So B pushes A from behind. A, however, manages to gain possession of the ball. I don't want to kill this play because all I'm going to do is give red the ball, right? So I'm not going to do what I would normally do. I am going to signal that I saw the infraction. I saw the push. And red's got it. We're going to keep playing. Everybody just keep going about your business, doing your thing. We're going to let play continue, okay? Possession and advantage are key here, right? For understanding how the play on works, right? In the situation on our left, red's not coming up with the ball, right? This is a 2-point takedown right here, okay? But in the case of potentially the white player pushing the blue player on the right-hand side of the screen, he's clearly going to come up with the ball, right? So you have to understand that possession is key, carrying, cradling, passing, shooting, but also maintaining that advantage, right? Is he going to keep going and have what he wants, right? And so you have to start kind of thinking about what is in the player's best interest. Does he want a free restart? Or do we have a potential scoring opportunity or a potential to get the ball into free space where he could do what he wants? And there's going to be a lot of factors that come into understanding what's happening here. And we'll get into very specific situations in a sec. One of those is the clear path to goal, right? So B pushes A from behind, right? A manages to come up with this ball with a clear path to the goal. We definitely don't want to kill this, right? So we're going to allow play to continue. That is literally the number one thing that we want to allow to happen. A wants a man-up advantage in transition, unsettled situation. This is what every coach dreams of and what everybody practices all the time. So we're going to signal that we saw the violation, and we're going to allow that play to continue.
And consider everybody here, again, not just what is in Team A's advantage, but put yourself in the coach's shoes here. This is a great one to understand where these guys are coming from. Certainly at the college level where they're feeding their families based on the calls that we make sometimes, right? But their wins or losses are how they do that. So they want every advantage they can. And the high school coaches is just as competitive. Some youth coaches just as competitive. A free restart and a loose ball push with a clear path to goal, that's not equivalent. They are not the same thing, because what are we going to do with a clear path to goal? Let's say you've pushed him in the box. Well, now we have to pull the ball into the alley. That gives the defense time to compress. Now they have to work so much harder to get a shot off that they would have gotten after a second and a half had we not been so quick on our whistles. That's the thing that's going to piss the coach off far more than, that'll amp them up just as much as player safety if they feel they're not getting the right bit on that one, because they're sitting here just like, whoa, everything we do is to try to score a goal, and you just took that away from us, and you let them get settled on defense. They're going to be like, what the heck? And they're going to be rightfully upset. So keep that perspective in mind. Like Rick said, what is in Team A's best interest because they've been offended, and which would they rather have? And in this situation, clear path to goal, fast break, they would rather have that as opposed to a settled restart where the defense has time to get settled.
Yeah. Now, here's the other thing that we're going to talk about. You want to make sure that A maintains their advantage. Remember, the rule states that until this advantage-disadvantage issue comes to a completion, you're going to withhold the whistle. Okay, so here's a situation where, again, B pushes A from behind, and A stumbles over the ball, but is able to maintain possession. If you just say, all right, now we're done, red ball, what if B then immediately comes up and checks the ball legally away from red? He's got a clear path to goal. He was offended. He has possession, but he has not maintained his advantage. That instant check is only good because B cheated 2 seconds earlier. Okay. So we have this situation here where you signal play on, and just because he gains possession doesn't mean we're going to end the play on. So when he loses that ball, we can still kill the play, right? Because what would A rather have? We kind of took away in a different way that clear path to goal. So we're going to kill it, and we are going to award the ball to red. In this case, he wants the free restart, right? And that happens a lot, where you get the hold and the kid picks it up and suddenly he's behind him and he, boom, checks right down, and now we're back to the scrum. You have to see that play and allow it to go for a few seconds to make sure that Team A really maintains their advantage. Possession is not enough to end a play on, okay?
And here's the thing. Think of this as well, gents, because it does help for just getting a guiding principle here. We're not saying like you wait 2 seconds or 3 seconds. You got to get a feel for the whole play that's in front of you, because they're all different. But just like possession on a face-off, I hate it when I accidentally yell possession and the ball just pops right out of the guy's stick because I was over eager to call possession for whatever reason. And I still do that. We all do. But I hate it when I do that because it's frustrating, because now I got more bodies. Well, again, just think of how frustrating that coach is if you just kill the whistle where you don't need to, or you stopped. You just said, okay, blue ball, play-on's off. Keep doing, so that's one of those things you're going to hear me say a lot this evening. See the entire story before you make your final decision. There's no rush. There's no rush to call possession on the face-off. There's no rush to drop your hand or blow your whistle on the play on. You got to let this thing develop. You have to have the patience while everyone's yelling at you for one thing or the not to be like, I still got to see the last chapter of the story.
Yeah. And again, you got your hand in the air. You've signaled to absolutely everybody on the planet that you saw a violation, right? And if the kid squirts out and goes running through and he's got the ball and they go into their offense, you signal, all right, red ball. But if it suddenly gets ugly again, you want to make sure you say, no. He's lost his advantage. Whistle, push, we're going this way, right?
Hey, Gordon, Greg, so what would be your indicators for the end of the play on? Would it be a pass, a settled situation, a shot?
I don't think it needs to be a pass. I think the player needs to clearly have possession of the ball, right? And he needs to maintain his advantage. Remember, if you blew the whistle, you're essentially giving him a 5-yard buffer where nobody on the defense can play him, right? Level of play is going to be different, right? So if you've got a player who picks it up, and again, think of it like kind of almost like a lacrosse move. If he's able to sort of separate and he's got the ball, play on's over, right? That's kind of what he wants. If he's not able to separate and he's in a big scrum, he really has never gained any advantage, right? Sometimes you'll see play-ons where there's no advantage to be had, and you just realize nothing's coming of this. You kill the play and you award the ball. We will talk about length of a play-on coming up, because we do not want to let play-ons go on for very long, right? So this is actually a lot quicker than I think we're letting on here. This is kind of a bang call that you're going to make, right? I'm not waiting 15 seconds to make sure this kid's all right and is going on the fast break. Okay. Let's talk for a second about counts, because one of the things the play on does is it resets the 10 count and the 20 count, right?
And by the way, GLOA, we're NFHS rules, just as a double checker.
Yes, we are
NFHS. That's why we're talking tens.
Right.
But this is the same for colleges. Any count, it's resetting.
Yeah. So if you have a play on, you're going to get a new 20. So if you have a defender has the ball, makes a pass, his buddy misses it, ball's loose, he gets pushed from behind, he picks it up, you're going to signal play on, red ball, reset, right? And if you're in 3-man mechanics, you got to let that single know he's got to reset his count. you might be the one with the play on. Your single might not be looking at you. If you're the new lead, you might have to signal back to your trail to let him know, hey, I had a play on. We got to reset that count. Same thing with a 10 count. If you have a 10 count that's going and you've got a loose ball push and a play on, if team A picks that ball up, we are going to reset that count and you're going to start over. Okay. So that's an important thing to remember as you get to higher levels of the game. Right? This is not a rule that nobody knows, right? This is a rule that everybody should know in terms of resetting counts because it kind of becomes important at the end of a game, in a close game. You don't want to be the one to screw this up.
And it makes sense because if you were to stop play, what would you do on the restart? A new 20 or a new 10. Yep. What is the play on? Continuing the advantage for the offended team.
Yep.
We're giving them what they would have been given on a restart anyway.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. So let's talk about key factors. And I kind of like this image. This is a classic image, I think, of I don't think purple's going to get the ball and maintain their advantage. Right?
Probably not.
He's getting shoved out of bounds here on the end line. And it really doesn't look like there's a lot he can do. So if we've got to push from behind, let's kill the play and award the ball. Right? That's in the best interest. That's the best outcome for what purple can have here. Think about the different situations. The fast break is a clear one, right? That's something we definitely do not want to take away. Gordon, you want to take a couple of these? Defensive end is a classic one. You and I have had this discussion many times.
Sure, and I think this is, again, all of these are situational. I certainly don't feel comfortable, and nor should you if anyone ever tells us this is what you do 100% of the time. No, not the case. So the fast break is the easy one on this. When the player's got a clear path to goal, or they're running over the midfield line, and there's a loose ball offside, and we're going to see what the heck happens. That's that one where everybody understands that. The defensive end one's a little tricky because, again, quality and level of play here. The loose ball push play on at the top of the box in the defensive end for a U11 team, they might not have much luck clearing the ball to begin with, right? So that might be a relatively shorter play on, However, you're in your high school game, your college game, or even your good U15 game or 14U game. Player could pick it up, bang it right to a player on the wing, and then you have a fast break going that direction. So again, like I said, you got to see the entire story here. Mm-hmm. And you have to respect what the level of play is. You can't go into a 13U game expecting to have these super short play-ons in the defensive end just because they're youth players. They could be pretty well-skilled youth players who can do that. And then I've had some high school teams where I've killed it almost immediately in the defensive end because nobody can pass or catch. Yeah. So you have to know and read that situation there. So that's kind of the big one there for the defensive end. It's kind of one of those things in the same way sort of that we treat with an injury, in that we want to see if they can get the ball where they want to go. And if they start going backward or stop, okay, no chance to go to goal. So let's stop and take care of the kid who's down. Mm-hmm. Same kind of deal here.
Yeah. The crease is always going to be an interesting one. It depends on who's got the ball, right? So if the defense has the ball and you have violations on the crease, it's slightly different than if the offense has the ball and you have violations on the crease, right? The crease becomes interesting because one of the things you do not want to do as an official is have to pull a goal off the board. Because you weren't sort of decisive or clear enough, right? Because then it's a lot of explaining and you got to go to the table and you got to do all that stuff. So the crease is going to be really interesting. Midline and over and back, there's a lot going on that midline. And I know a lot of you have had conversations about, do I allow an over and back to be a play on? My answer is, it depends. Right? It depends on whether or not it's going to be a fast break, whether he picks it up clean. I have had plays there that we'll talk about where I went to kill it. And the next thing I know is the kid shoots through 6 defenders and he's off to the races. right? I literally did not have time to kill the play. So again, you can kind of let, you know, and I'm not going to kill it at that point. I'm like, oh, okay, we're going that way apparently. Stalling and time in the game are going to be other really interesting ones, right? Because as time gets shorter and shorter, there's fewer opportunities to score. And if you have that 1-goal game, sometimes it's in the best interest of the kid to try to fight through the play on, or else you're going to kill it. Defense is going to set up, and that opportunity, like Gordon said, is gone to really get a good shot off. So again, to play on or not to play on, that really is kind of what we're trying to get to here. So again, defensive end, the crease, the midline, and then that kind of end of the game stuff is really the things we want to focus on today.
And here's the thing, just while looking at this map here, there's an important bit on this one. We're always harping in any training that we go to, or any training that I've ever been to in any capacity, harping on positioning, because that matters. When you're by the crease positioning to see these calls for play-ons, you can be pretty dang wide on those clears and call those play-ons. You can have a weird far angle and call those play-ons. And I've been grateful for my partner at the far side cone calling something near him that he had a better angle on than I did. Great, cool. I'll take the restart. You can bogey down the goal. The crease and the midfield line, you need to be there. Those are those situations where I don't care if you're right. I won't believe you as the coach if you're at the end of the wing line trying to call. If you have to call play on for over and back, just keep running until you're stopping at the midline cone. You know, you can fake your way into a better position in that end, because by the time everybody looks back, you're standing there and they're like, oh, he must have been there all along, right? Yeah. So those two areas of the field in particular for selling the call, but also just for getting the best view, you need to be in those positions.
Yeah, most definitely. And like I said, end of the game, right? 6 seconds left. You don't want to stop it, pull them out into the alley, and say, "All right, you just got to take a shot." You want to be aware of the game situation. Okay. So midline over and back. Here we go. So in this situation, we are at the midfield, and we don't have a count, so this is not an over and back situation. But the ball sort of gets checked away, and red is going to pick it up and has an absolute clear path to the goal. Okay. We don't want to kill it here, right? We're going to let this go, even though this is a potentially a violation of over and back. We don't want to let this go. We want to let this kid pick it up and go. Here's a loose ball offsides. So ball goes over, and you see blue sort of came up on the play, stepped over. So you did not have enough people on this end here, the defensive end, where play was going. But red is clearly going to pick this ball up. So this is kind of what we mean by line violations. A loose ball offsides, all you're going to do is award the ball to red. Red is clearly going to pick this ball up and go to goal. So we do not want to kill it, just to point out that we saw the offsides, right? Now, the other thing about this is you want to make sure, and for newer officials, this is kind of a new mechanic, get that hand up in the air. You want to make sure that you saw the offsides and indicate to the coach and your teammates and your crew that you saw the foul, right? Because blue might come back and be like, okay, he scored that goal, but you missed that offsides. You got that hand up in the air. You can say, coach, I saw it, but it was loose, right? Now, over and back, these are the two situations that we were talking about, right? So here's over and back, right? We've got a touch. Blue's got the ball. For some reason, he loses it. It heads over the line. Red is clearly going to pick this up. There's nobody there. Now, oftentimes this happens when you've got red standing up by the line and his defenders like kind of way back talking to the goalie, or maybe off to the side talking to the coach, or just maybe not paying attention, depending on what level, really any level that you're doing. But here's a case where, yes, it's over and back, but you don't want to blow that whistle and award it, right? This situation is slightly different. Now we got a scrum of people. Who knows what's going to happen? What would we rather have? We would have we'd rather have a free restart here. Now, I will say the other thing. All of these slides are two-man mechanics. So note where the trail is. He's right on the line, right? He's going to become the new lead here. If you're doing two-man, you've got to get down to GLE, right? So that lead's got to come up as the new trail and blow this play in, because the terrifying thing about two-man mechanics when you have this situation is you're going to let that go. And as the new lead, you got to get on your horse and you got to get to GLE and see this play through, right? So understanding over and back, if they're going to pick it up clean, let it go, right? Let that play go. And like I said, I've had plays where this happens and somehow red picks it up and spins out of trouble. And the next thing you know, we're off to the races. I'm literally bringing the whistle up to my mouth to kill it, and he's escaped. So let that play go. Like Gordon says, read the final chapter of the book before you kind of make a decision as to what you're going to do.
There's another one with this exact scenario that has happened to me a time or two and it can be every attackman and defenseman collapsing on that ball. And it squirts through all of them and is rolling to the top of the box. And the only player that realizes this is the player from the offended team, the red team. He starts turning and burning, and now it's literally one-on-one with the goalie. And the other players are trying to figure out where the heck the ball went.
Yeah.
That's one where you can, again, to that point of like, when are you killing this, when are you not? Every situation is different. You have to have the courage to stand there and go, what is happening? I have my hand in the air. Okay, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to kill this because it's looking like a scrum and they're not going to get a clean pickup.
Yeah.
Oh, the ball's out. Oh, he's the only one running for it. Oh, he's got the ball. Now we're running to goal. So again, see everything.
See it all. See it all. Now, here's an example of a restart in the Virginia game. So we're about to have an over and back here. We've got an errant pass, tips off. Here's a clear example. It's just two guys, but no one's picking that up cleanly, right? That's legal contact. We get the ball up, we signal the violation. We're going this way. You get the quick restart and we're going the other way, right? That is an important one to recognize. The over and back one is really tough because normally you've got a bunch of players just standing there at the line, and when the ball comes to them, it's just a mad scrum for what's happening. More often than not, you are going to kill that play. That being said, wait a second and see what's happening. Give the play an opportunity to develop. And like Gordon said, you got to have the courage to kind of let it happen. That's really what we're getting at here. Here's our crease play, where you've really got to know what's happening and be in the right spot. This is definitely one of the harder things to officiate in the sport of lacrosse. Remember Rule 6.2, crease violations are unlike any other violation that are happening, okay? So play-ons are gonna be a little dicey when we're dealing with crease violations. Remember, if the goalie's got possession, you're either gonna give him a free clear, or if it's loose, you're just gonna award possession to team B, right? Either in the crease or in their defensive end. You're really not putting anybody in the box. We're not doing any of that stuff for technical fouls, even when the goalie has possession of the ball. So here's our handy chart for location and possession. This is up on a number of GLOA websites. You can go to a resource page. This is a great one to review if you're a newer official. Just practice thinking about what's happening in your head, where the contact occurs, whether it's loose or in possession are key factors for understanding whether or not you're going to call a play on. The two ones to remember right? You can check the goalie's stick outside of the crease if the ball is loose. The only time you're going to actually have a time-serving foul is when the clearing team has possession kind of away from the crease, and that riding guy, runs or steps into the crease while the ball is away in possession. That's going to be the only real flag down that you're going to have. Okay. So let's look at this next example. We've got loose ball interference on the crease, right? Ball's right there. The red team has the complete right to try to whack that ball into the goal. We've seen it a million times. So he goes to get the ball and makes contact with the goalie's cross. Hand up, right? Play on. If the goalie picks the ball up, that play on is over, right? And you initiate the 4-second count, you initiate your 20-second count, and you're going to let that play happen. The 4-second count does not reset in crease play. So the 10-second count will reset, the 20-second count will reset, but the 4 count does not reset. And remember, possession, carrying, cradling, passing, shooting. Now, in a low-level game, if I have contact with the goalie stick in the crease, I'm killing the play, right? Very rarely is something good going to come of this. The goalie is not going to score from his crease. So at higher level games, you can kind of let the play go because he may have an outlet pass to make. He may get the fast break on the long pass streaking down the middle of the field. But at the lower level, you probably just want to kill it and award the ball, right? Again, skill level, level of play, situation are all factors that are going to be really important. Is this interference?
Yeah.
Why do you say that? What's the big question? What's the exception to contact with the goalie?
Under the stick.
That's not under the stick. Anytime the goalie's in the crease, you cannot make contact with the goalie's cross or the goalie or the cage. But who initiated contact? If the goalie checks your stick, we got nothing, right? That's why crease play will make you stay up at night very late reading your rule book over and over and over again, right? That's where that chart comes in. The goalie can check you and it's nothing inside the cylinder. You can't check the goalie inside the cylinder, right? So understand that. So here are the ways in which the crease play on will end. The 4-second count's going to expire. So goalie has possession of the ball, carrying, cradling, passing, shooting, and we have our 4-second count going. It expires. Play on ends. We're going to award the ball to the defense, and it's going to be a free clear because the goalie's in possession of the ball, and we've had a technical violation, right? Either somebody checked the goalie or stepped in the crease. We are also, let's say if it was loose, we're going to reset that 20-second count, right? The goalie can run out of the crease. Once the goalie runs out of the crease, he's given up his play on. He's given up his free play. So if the goalie in possession of the ball leaves the crease, play on's over, right? You still reset that 20-second count, right? And then finally, we're going to have the outlet passes. Gordon, do you want to take this one? Because this is one that took me a while to figure out as a newer official.
Another one where, again, this is going to be more likely to happen with the higher skilled teams. It doesn't really matter which ages. Some goalies can put on a freaking dime. And again, you got to have the courage to see what happens. All right. So you've got the play on. He's in the crease counting, and you're counting, and he sees his midi breaking wide open, and he throws him a dime. Your hand's going to stay in the air until that player gets possession of that ball. Now, here's the weird thing. That player can not catch the ball, still be alone, still have a clear path to goal, pick it up, and then go to the goal. And so it's not just he can. I've had plenty of play-ons where the goalie overshot his mark.
Or undershot. I've had undershot too.
And that player is still the only player who has a prayer to even pick up that ball. Right. So again, we got to see that entire thing, but I'm not looking at the ball while it's arcing up in the air. I still got to have my eyes on the goalie in case he comes out of the crease and gets hit late for whatever reason. And I got to follow then the trail of bodies up to where it's at and trust my partner to see that trail in. But I've got to have eyes on that other side. But it's also important for me to have been verbal. Play on. Greg is the trail, now knows what the situation is. If that ball arcs over the middle of the field and I've got to go take care of something behind the play, he's going to handle what's got to get handled.
Yeah, so, remember, if I'm the trail, I'm looking at the shooter. I'm not watching the play at the crease. I don't see the violation. I have to hear Gordon yell play on. And now I know I've got goalie interference, most likely. And so I can sort of anticipate what that play is going to look like. And when I see the outlet pass, again, it's not just completion, it's possession and maintaining the advantage, right? Those are the key things. All right. So again, if the pass is short and the player has to go back and get it, like we had in this example, right? We're going to reset that 20 count. Don't assume just because a player's running towards the midline that they're going to cross over and your 20 count's going to be over, so I don't need to turn on my timer. You never know what these kids are going to do. Do not assume that they're going to make the smart play or do what you would do, right? They may throw the ball back, in which case you better have that reset and that 20 count going, because again, we're just back to officiating lacrosse. All righty, so time's not to do a play on. An attacking player in the crease is never a good time to do a play on. The rule book says you can do a play on. I tend to think it's a fairly terrible idea. This is an immediate whistle, right? Nothing good is going to come of a body in the crease, whether they stepped in the crease or whether they were illegally pushed in the crease. Just kill the play, right? Unless the goalie has clear possession of the ball and is doing exactly what he wants to do. But if that ball is ricocheting around, no one is going to say bad things if you just kill the play. Okay.
I like to call these play whistles. These are you're putting your hand in the air and going, oh crap, and you blow the whistle.
Yeah. Yep. So here's an example. This is from the Denver, this is Ohio State game, Maryland game?
Denver, Maryland.
Yeah, Denver, Maryland.
This is the reason we now have crease dives in college lacrosse.
Yeah.
But when these two plays happened, touching the crease was not permitted. So you can, if you're still reffing high school games under NFHS rules, take what these officials are doing as gospel, because it is for that rule set.
Come on, buddy. Why are you not playing? I don't know what my wireless is doing today.
Oh dear, because this is like the best clip.
I know, this really is the best clip. It's a great, let's see if we can.
You have to like close out of the presenter view.
There.
There it is. Oh boy.
What's up, all? So we got the quick play, boom.
They're like, yeah, there's a goal. No. He stepped in right there. We're going up.
Now, right. I will say this. Calls around the crease. You cannot be hesitant. You have to come in there and decisively say, I got a crease violation, no goal, we're going this way. You can't, this is not a moment where you really can, you don't have a lot of time to process this. You don't have a lot of time to think about this and decide what you're going to do. You need to come in hard and fast and big and make the signal and decide what we're doing. And that really comes with reps. I think that's why crease play is so difficult for officials, because you have to see this play over and over and over again before you really get used to it. I would very much suggest watching a lot of games on video. right? See the play in your head so that when you get into the game experience, you see the play coming. He's going to the goal. It's going to be close. He's running out of real estate. What you're watching is for that crease violation, right? And when you get it, whistle, come in hard, point, boom, right? Let's watch it one more time. Right, they're all excited, wave it off, boom, the other official turns and heads to the cone. We get the quick restart, boom, it's all over. And look how close this is when he steps in. Like, he's on the line. Official is in great position. If you are outside the numbers when that play happens, absolutely nobody is going to believe you that you got the right call. Right? Absolutely nobody. You have to be crashing in behind that play so that you can put yourself in the best position to make that call. You can be in the right position and make the wrong call, and nobody's going to really disagree with you. But nobody's going to believe you if you're out by the alley or even out by the numbers, right? You should be right in there, sort of hash marks in on the field in order to really see that play.
And think of this too. Earlier asked you to put yourself in the coach's mindset. Now put yourself in your other partner's mindset, especially if you're in a 3-person crew and you've got a partner at trail now who is now right back at the coach who you just took the goal away from, right? He is put in such a better position if you're in position, because he can just turn around and go, coach, he's right there and I can't see anything from here. Right. But if he is as far out as the alley, then you're sitting there going like, coach, I hear you. We'll talk and figure it out. Whereas in the first one, he's right there. I trust my partner.
Yep.
Ask him if you want to, think about your partners and how they need to explain things to coaches in these critical scenarios.
Yeah. You can't step on the line. No attacking player can be in the crease. You are going to take a goal off the board for that, but you want to take the goal off immediately, not have a conversation and spend a lot of time with whiteboards and, meetings and donuts and PowerPoints. You got to get in there and make that happen. Okay. All right. So let's talk about stalling and kind of the end of the game. Okay. This is one that was sort of introduced to me as we used to have what we called the silent play on. Right? And you'd be like, is that in the rule book? And they'd be like, no. Is that in the mechanics manual? No. What is it? I'm like, it was kind of like entering the Masons. Like, it was like secret archaic knowledge that was being handed down to you. That's why we're trying to do these webinars so we can explain to you what's going on. So if you have a stall warning under Federation rules, right, you're going to have to keep it in the box, right? You got 10 seconds to get it in, and you got to keep it in after that, right? Until you make contact with the goalie or score a goal or hit the cage, right? Those are the only things that are going to waive off a stall warning. If we are in the last 2 minutes of the game and we are within 4 goals or less, we're going to have an automatic stall warning for a team. They're going to have to get it in and keep it in. These tend to be situations where the game is usually pretty close, or a team is absolutely getting obliterated with a stall warning, and the other team is just kind of trying to waste time. But we've seen coaches who are like, they're stalling, you got to call it, and you're like, you're right, okay, we're going to call it. You put the stall warning on. Now, what you don't want to do is take away an opportunity for a team to get a transition goal. So the ball is checked or it's loose and it's out there. Red is going to pick it up and they are going to go to the races. Mm-hmm. You do not want to blow your whistle and say, coach, in a 1-goal game, I really wanted to make sure you knew I saw the stall warning violation. And I knew that if that ball came out, I was supposed to blow my whistle, right? This is a classic example of, yes, you saw it. And the way you tell us that you saw it is you put your hand up in the air. So get in the habit when you have that stall violation, that ball comes out, Not so much when the player is in possession of the ball, but when a loose ball comes out, your hand should be up and be like, hey, is the team that's down going to get a chance at this ball? Because if they are, I'm going to let them take their chance, and then I'll just end the play on. If not, I will kill it and give them the free restart. Once you put the hand up in the air, what you're saying is nothing bad can happen to the offended team. And remember here, the offended team in this case is the defense. It's not the offense, right? Gordon, you want to take sort of time running out situations, 34 seconds, 6 seconds left?
So things get tense when we're running out of time. Certainly in close games, even in tie games and 1-goal games. But these are things where, again, what is the story? If you've got a team, the home team right now is down, right? So they want to go to the goal. Oh wait, no, I got everything.
Visitors are down.
Okay, so the visitors are down. I got things blocked out on my screen here. So the visitors are down by a goal. Okay, and we have a play-on violation in their favor, but it's on their end line, right? And they're surrounded by 3 bodies. What does that team, what does that coach, what would they rather have? A structured clear that gets them into the offensive side where they can call a timeout and maybe set up some last-second shot with their best person? Or are you going to let that kid pick up the ground ball at X? Then he turns and he gets legally pushed out of bounds. And now we've given the ball to the home team at X with 33 seconds left to go. So this is a thing. And this is one, and he was on the call earlier, so I'll give him credit for this one. Dawson was one of my mentors up in Maryland, got me, as I was getting more and more referee assignments, got me looking at the clock more, not at the expense of the play, but I became a clock watcher because I wanted to know when penalties were releasing. I wanted to know when halftime was releasing. I certainly wanted to know when the end of the freaking game was and where I was relative to that, so that if we had one of these situations in a tight, critical moment, I'd be able to make not the right call, the most appropriate call for that situation, right? The right call would be kill the frickin' play, or the right call would be allow the play to continue. They're both right. So you have to make the right one. So it's the best call for the play, seeing that whole story, knowing where you are. And then these low time situations and tight games, you've got to ask yourself, what would they rather want? I will still have a longer play on if we have a loose ball at midfield after an over and back, and the visiting team's attackman is running up to it. I'm all right, I'm going to give you a chance to pick this sucker up and see what you do with it. If he bobbles it, I might give him another chance if no one's near it. And then if he picks it up, okay, we're gonna go and see what happens. But the coach can't say I took away their last chance to win the game into semifinals and take their team the first ever championship that this school has ever had. These are the things that you have to keep in mind.
Yeah, and again, it's not, we're not here to find fouls. Our job is not to see the foul and blow the whistle, right, or throw the flag. We have to manage the flow, as we said at the beginning. We want to let the players play. We want to understand the game that we're dealing with. If the kid who hasn't picked up a ground ball all day long is the one in the giant scrum trying to pick the ball up, it's unlikely that he's going to pick the ball up. So kill the play. If the best player on the team is shooting through 2 guys with 6 seconds left and he's got to get a shot off, give him a chance to take the shot, right? Ref the game that's in front of you. Ref the game that you've been watching all day, right? See what's happening in front of you and understand the situation that everybody's in. That is definitely key. So here's another one, the delayed substitution. This is another silent play on. So player goes off the field and you are supposed to immediately come on the field, right? So we have a shot, we have a save. Everybody goes to their position. And we've got the red player has subbed off at the cone on the defensive side of the field, and his buddy is waiting up at the top of the field, right, to sub on. Now, you'll notice everybody has matched up for the ride, except this one guy. He's looking around, and you're going to see this play a lot. And he's looking around, trying to figure out who he's supposed to guard. He may slide over to the middle of the field to help out on that red player standing at face-off X. But they're looking around. Now, if we wait a few seconds and suddenly that guy streaks onto the field from the sub box and the goalie throws the pass and it hits him and he's got a clear path to the goal, he's cheated and disadvantaged the defense by not substituting on immediately. So he's gotten himself an advantage and disadvantaged the defense. That is what we do with, you don't really put your hand up in the air on this one, because here's one where you clearly have to see the entire play, because I will show you an example of this play where there is no advantage on a delayed sub. So we have a shot and we have a save, right? Everybody goes to their spot. We sub off. Everybody matches up. But here, this guy's a little deeper. So when red subs on, blue's right there to play him. Red gets it. There's no clear path to the goal. He might turn around and run into the alley or run up to the middle of the field, right? No advantage gained, no opportunity for a transition goal, unsettled situation. Nobody's surprised. Here's another. Shot save, everybody goes to their positions. We're all matched up except for this guy. The goalie throws it off to the wing, throws it off to his long pole in the alley, right? Red subs on, blue sees him and goes down and matches up with him. There's no advantage here. So there's no foul for taking your time to sub on. How many, I mean, come on. If you've seen a U13 game, it's like herding cats in the sub box, right? Nobody knows who's in, nobody knows who's out, nobody knows what's going on. So there's no intent to deceive. Now, there are teams out there who this is a play in their playbook, right? This play right here, where you sub out and you make that play, they're waiting for the defense to be confused. They pop that guy on the field, and the goalie is throwing it on a dime, just right to that guy, and boom, they go right into essentially an unsettled situation transition play, where they know where everybody's coming from.
And here's the thing on this, Vince, and again, we've got this set up as a two-person game. More often than not, if this happens, say in the first quarter, the crew is not going to pick up on this. You will be informed of your failure to pick up on this by the coach that was affected. He's going to be like, you guys got to watch the box. And in your head, you're thinking, well, I've got 20 players to watch and it's a unified field. And my partner and I are so far apart from each other. We're in different zip codes. And it's difficult to figure out what the heck's going on here. And you're going to say, I will do my best. We'll keep our eye on it. And if it happens again, you will be able to address that situation because you'll have the corner of your eye out there. I'll make a big caveat to this. Do not say, Coach, if you want that call, pay for 3 officials. Why be needlessly adversarial in something where he's trying to tell you something that your job is to catch things that are not correct, and he might not be in charge of the one hiring the officials. Yeah. So I've had that conversation. I was like, Gordon, this guy said this to me. And I'm like, I don't know why he said that to you, Coach. That's kind of rude. Like in my book, like that's the thing where it's like the answer to that question or that statement, like you guys missed that delayed sub is, Coach, thanks for letting me know. We'll get it next time. Yeah. That's all you need to say.
I've told coaches, Coach, this is really tough. This is a fast paced game. We're on a unified field. We got 2 guys. This really should be a 3-man game, but I'm going to watch for that delayed sub, right? I want guys to have 3 people on the field. I know they don't always have the possibility, but we're going to miss stuff. Like that's why we say 3 people is better than 2, because it's a lot easier to catch all this stuff in a 3-man game. right? If you have not done a 3-man game, you will be astounded at the stuff you've been missing for the last couple of years doing 2-man. It's really hard. This is a play that they can sneak past you pretty easily. 99% of the time, nobody's trying to do this, but there are teams that do, right? Getting a good scouting report before a big game is really important. You will hear what teams do over the course of a season, and that's important knowledge for you moving forwards, because you kind of know what to look for, right? You should know what defense a team runs, what offense a team runs, who their big scorer is, who the guy that gets all the penalty is, what their faceoff guy does, and kind of what they're doing in transition. Those are all important things to know. We just don't always have the opportunity to get film or talk to other officials. So, developing those relationships with other people, you can find out about stuff like this. And the first time you see it, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's definitely an advantage, right? All right, let's go. To bad things. Let's talk about why long play-ons are a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. You're going to have to be like Mr. Bielecki over here and go have a very awkward conversation with a coach about simultaneous fouls. And he is going to think that you've been sitting in your car drinking cough syrup and making stuff up. Okay. So simultaneous fouls called on players of opposing teams. In this case, it's always going to be during the same live ball sequence, even when sequence can be determined, right? So it doesn't matter that this happens and then that happens. It's between things that stop play, a whistle and a whistle. If all the fouls are technicals, they're going to cancel, okay? But if you have a technical and a personal, and in the case of a play on and then a personal foul, the play on has to be a technical foul. Shared time of those penalties is going to be non-releasable. That means that for a loose ball push, that player, if you have a loose ball push and a slash, is going to serve 30 seconds locked in. And the guy with the slash is going to serve the first 30 seconds of his 1 minute slash locked in. So this is how it looks. You blow it in at 8:12, you have a loose ball push on B9, and you're going to put your hand up in the air and you're going to say, play on. And you're going to let it go for 10 seconds. The ball's batting around. You've got a scrum of players, and A1 comes in and whacks the snot out of B9 because he didn't like getting pushed. Whistle kills the play. Foul by A will automatically kill that play, right? This is the classic simultaneous foul. B9 is you're going to go to a coach and say he's serving 30 seconds non-releasable for a loose ball push. You do not want that to happen.
But coach, you are getting the ball.
You are getting the ball because B has less penalty time. So B is going to get the ball to start the game, and they're not going to get a free clear. It's going to be wherever they are on the field. So suddenly he's going to have to explain to his man up team how to do a clear. Okay. So this is one of those moments when you get one of these simultaneous fouls, when you get these weird situations. And I'm not saying you're never going to have these. You are going to have these. If you want to be an R, if you want to move up, this is the stuff you really need to study, right? Because there's a lot of young officials that don't know these rules. There's some older officials that don't know these rules. Most coaches don't really understand a simultaneous fouls rule. I've had coaches who've been doing this for 40 years look at me and say, I've never seen this in my 40 years of doing lacrosse, right? But this is the classic example of the simultaneous foul. And if you can avoid this conversation, it is in your best interest to do so. So don't let those play-ons go. If you're getting into that like 5-6 second rule and there's play going on, your best inclination is to kill the play, right? The situations that Gordon was talking about and that I were talking about where somebody's running into open space and he's going to pick the ball up and there's really nobody else who's going to play him, you can let that play on go a little longer. But it's these sort of big scrums and bodies going everywhere and somebody gets mad and the next thing you know, you have retaliation. it can get pretty ugly here, right? And so you do not want to have that conversation. It is not a pretty place to be, but you have to also, I will say this, have the confidence to walk into that huddle and say, all right, coach, guys, this is what the situation is. Table, I need you to really pay attention to me. These are moments to slow down and take time to explain to everybody most tables are not going to know what to do with a 30-second loose ball push non-releasable foul. They're not going to know how to write it in the book. You really want to take a moment and explain this, answer any question anybody's got, explain where the ball is going to be, let people get the right number of people on the field, and then restart play. This is not a time to kind of go in there, announce it, and quickly get things restarted. Slow down. When weird stuff happens, we really do want to slow down. So here are our keys, right? Only loose ball, technicals, goalie interference, never personal fouls. Keep them short. The biggest question you want to ask yourself is this a scoring opportunity, right? Is this a fast break? Because we don't want to take away fast breaks on a loose ball foul. Think about what the player wants. Think about what the coach wants. Do we want a free restart or do we want a chance to play? Make something happen. The offended team, it's more than possession. They need to maintain that advantage before you end that play on. All right, guys. Who's got questions?
Is there a signal for ending the play on? So you're satisfied that the play on is over. They've maintained possession long enough. Are you just dropping your hand?
You are going to point in the direction of play.
When I started, you just dropped your hand.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything there. This was actually something the men's training committee we voted on after, again, talking with our Laredo clinicians back when I was at US Lacrosse, was saying we need to have, this is the only thing we do that doesn't have a finishing signal of some kind. So we're like, all right, we're just going to point whichever the direction the ball is now going. That's where we're going to go. I will say I've been on enough fast breaks where I don't really have the coordination to pull that off, and I'm just turning my upward hand into a sprint to get to the goal. Yeah. But you're just pointing in the direction of play to signal that it's over.
Yeah. So if red pushes blue here, you're going to have play on. When blue picks it up and goes on their merry way, and we're back to playing lacrosse, you just say blue ball and keep officiating.
And when you first call the play on, is there an indication of who was offended? Or is it clear from the play?
Sometimes it's not clear, right? But we're not going to stop and explain that to anybody, right? I don't need to say play on red 33, hold, right? We're just saying I saw something I didn't like. If the coach comes up to you, I mean, this is, again, a great opportunity when you're coming by his trail. Coach will be like, what happened there? Be like, he grabbed him, he held him, tried to spin him around, but he got out of it and guy kept going, right? So you can have those conversations, but we're not saying what it was. Along those lines of signaling, when you are announcing a loose ball technical foul, there's really no need to use the loose ball signal. The only time you really want to use the loose ball signal is when it's unclear as to whether or not the ball was in possession or not. And you're going to say, no, ball was loose, push, we're going this way.
And there's a thing, Jens, when you're single side or trail and you're facing the benches, life is easy in these situations because you can just go play ball, push, and everybody sees your signal. But if you're lead single, a leader trail, or just leading a two-person, and your backs are to the benches, more importantly, your backs are to the coaches who are making the decisions based off of what you're about to say.
He's coming to talk about everything.
Whoever's on the phone, mute yourself. But I like to turn like 90 degrees to my right or my left, probably where the play is going, just so I can turn. And so I'm not signaling, but my back is to the coaches and all that stuff. And my voice is not going to them. So I can give a little play on, little turn, push, blue ball. And now we're running over there. I don't spin 180 degrees and turn my back now on the play, but I get enough so that the benches can see what's being called if I'm in a spot where they can't really see me.
Yeah. We got a couple of questions in here.
Yeah, we did so. Yeah.
Kind of go through here.
Yep. Used to say play on over. Every now and again, I still say play on over. I heard a great one a weekend or two ago where it was the play on is no longer in effect. That was a mouthful.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, nothing even needs to be said. I tend to verbalize it just because that's just the mechanic I've kind of grown into. But you're not always saying it too. So
we've got this is from Tim. Team doubles the ball on the offense and then delays the sub. Offense passes the ball directly to the guy out of the box. They're delaying the substitution and gaining an advantage. No me gusta. Right now, again, that's a really hard one to see. If you've got a double team, there's a lot of eyes on that double team. That's where the play is, right? Again, that's where the third official on the field standing right at that cone is really just kind of managing the substitution box. In a two-man game, that's a really tough play to see. There we go. We've talked about ending the play on. Again, only time you're going to get the free clear for a goalie interference is if it happens when the goalie is in possession of the ball. A loose ball goalie interference just gives them the ball in their defensive end.
I'll say I will. That's probably the only time I ever really signaled loose, unless I have a brain fart and just do it because that's how I started, however many years ago. But that is, again, a communication to the coach and to my partner as to what's going on. Because free clear means my partner at new lead just gets to bump down the field. No free clear means you still got to hold that midline and see what the heck's about to happen. So I'll say play on for the loose ball goalie interference. And if I have to kill it, whistle loose interference, white ball right here, restart, versus the other way, play on, interference, free clear white. And those that bit of communication tells a story that to your partner and to the coaches, they can make better decisions from.
Yeah. We got a question. What if the play on is in effect and the count ends? They've been disadvantaged, right? They could have picked the ball up and satisfied that count. And the play on is going to reset that count. So if you have a play on, the count really can't end, right? Nothing bad can happen to that team. And that includes failure to advance, right? So you really have to have in your head, you go play on, they're getting the ball and they're going to get a free restart if things don't work out for them. That's why it gets awkward when you have the simultaneous foul and you got to have those weird conversations with everybody. Let's see. Got a play on and B pushes A, and then A teammate gets the ball. Yes. So it does not matter that the kid who was offended gets the ball. It matters that their team gets the ball. Okay. In that clip that I'm new to iMovie, so I'm learning all these new skills. That clip where you have a play where, you pass the ball and then you get shoved to the ground more than 5 yards away from a loose ball. That ball's in the air. If your teammate's going to catch it, your team still maintains their advantage, right? That may be a fast break, but either way, I'm not going to stop the play to tell the kid who has the ball to take it out in the alley and restart play, right? We don't want to stop the play to restart play for no apparent reason. We want to keep that flow going. So the offended player does not need to get the ball. The offended team needs to maintain their advantage and possession. That's the key thing there.
So Steve wrote, how can a goalie count start if he does not have possession? When he gets possession, the play on ends and the count starts on possession. Is that right? Yes. So again, we'll separate loose ball and in possession. Loose ball, play on, goalie picks it up, blue ball. I'm not doing anything. Now I'm starting a 4-second count and I'm along with hitting my timer, right? So I'm resetting in 1, 2. Goalie's got, it's loose. He picks it up. I start my 20 and I start counting my 4. He gets interfered with, but he still keeps possession. I'm still counting this. The 20 is still going on. And when I get to 4, it's like he dropped the ball or he stepped out of the crease. I'm just going to say, or not stepped out of the crease, just dropped the ball. He didn't maintain his advantage. Tweet, goal interference, free clear.
Yep. Yeah, the crease ones are tough, man. And the crease ones, it's the one time you're not going to put your hand in the air. Literally, like goalie makes a save, you're going to twirl, you're going to flip, you're starting to count. Now you're not doing this for a play on while we're not cheerleaders here. We're not going to do all the crazy signals. But you really do, you have to practice this. You've got to think through these situations and watch games and think, all right, what would I be doing here? Because the goalie stuff is tough. The crease stuff really is tough. And it really comes with reps. It also comes from some terrible mistakes that you swear to yourself you're never going to make again. But if you can put yourself in that mental headspace of what do I need to do? What do I need to be thinking about? You can really advance a lot quicker. You can really improve your craft and get better at this. Find a mentor, call people. Like, you can text me, you can call me, you can email me. I always tell my trainees this when I'm done with either an adult training or youth training. If you are driving home from a game with a question, in all likelihood, I am driving home from a game with a question, right? So I am stuck in Atlanta traffic, driving from some godforsaken field in the absolute middle of nowhere on a Tuesday night. And I'm trying to process through the things that happened in my game. And if I'm done, I would be more than happy to talk to you on my way home as we, sort of work these things out, right? Some of the best lessons and best teaching moments that I've experienced as a kid coming up were from phone calls on the way home. So feel free to reach out to us, send us an email, text us, find somebody in your association that you really trust and respect, and have those conversations, because that's the way you're going to get better. You're going to screw up. You are going to screw this up. And all that anybody can ask of us is that we're really trying our best to avoid that at all costs, right? And when we do screw up, we should know how to fix it. We should know what our options are on how to make it better. That's what we do. I have never reffed a perfect game, right? So still working on it, but I've never managed to pull it off quite yet. How we got going here? Anybody else got questions? I'm just seeing some stuff in the chat. If you want to jump in here.
Yes, I have a question for you in a play.
What we got, Nick?
All right. So in the play where we had to lose the play on and we had the player go outside, and remember he passed through the player that was there.
Yeah.
Well, that defender that is offside can continue to play the ball. So will you take us through what you're going to think about on how to continue that play on or kill it if the defender decides that he's going to continue to play?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to stop playing, right?
Right.
He can decide, hey, I'm gonna jump in here and I'm gonna play. The question is, does the team that was offended maintain their advantage and regain possession? As long as that kid gets the ball and maintains his advantage, we're right back to playing lacrosse. We are going to completely forget about the offsides, right? You don't have to worry about that anymore. We're going to forget about the loose ball push. We're going to forget about the interference. That's why this only applies to technical fouls. We're never going to forget about a slash. We're never going to forget about an illegal body check, right? We are going to just make sure that the offended team gets possession, carrying, cradling, passing, shooting, and maintains their advantage. And if they don't get that, we're going to kill that play on and give them a free restart. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I just wanted to go through what you're thinking about on those plays,
Yeah.
Because, we got that guy outside now and everybody's yelling outside. And,
yep.
But we've got to play on. So at that point, we've got to be conscious of the fact that it's the play on that is dictating when we're going to stop, not the fact that he's just off. And it's just like you say, maintaining that advantage. So as long as he doesn't do anything, we should be okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to find my power cord here. All righty. Anybody else got questions? chat. I don't got anything. All right, gentlemen. Well, I hope that was helpful. I hope you learned something. I learned that I need to fix that video and a number of other things. But other than that, I thought it went well. I thank you all for joining us. Be safe in these troubled times. Happy holidays to everybody. And, you know, hopefully this spring we can get back out on the field and have a season here. That would be the best thing possible. So enjoy, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Gordon. Thanks, Greg. Nice job.